Mm. Okay. Yeah. So start whatever it is that you were going to say.
Well, I just was saying that like Israel had such an impact on me.
Hmm.
It was very, it was a little bit life changing, I think.
Wow. In
Yeah.
what way do you
Um,
mean?
think it was seeing this work in a way that really allowed it to go to its full potential. So seeing an area of the world that's in conflict with the group of people who in a system sort of way they're in conflict and
Hmm.
have such different perspectives and coming from such different places and different histories and similar histories, and then um, seeing this work bring them together to see each other, to open to each other, to work together, to like unleash their difficult feelings and their pain. I don't think there is a place that it could have been more apparent that this work is powerful.
Hmm. So in what way would you say it seemed different than what you see in the work that you're doing, in Montreal, for example?
I, I think it's similar. It's similar, but the issue is different. So
Mm.
it illustrates the power of the work in some way.
Yeah.
Whereas there are the issues that are in North American society and culture. There's issues of systemic racism,
Hmm.
inequality, environmentalism, and these things are big and we live with them, but we're not in a soup with them in the same way.
Mm-mm.
They're not what we're breathing every day. And um, in the same way as what's happening in Israel and Palestine and the conflict there, which is just every day, all around, so painful on
Yeah.
both sides and so systemically powerful and
Hmm.
conflictual. So I think that to see it work with that material and help it unwind that material is an
Hmm.
illustration and a testament to like the power of the work.
So what made you come, like to begin with? You also mentioned during the group that, you were asking Anne so many times, let me come, let me come. So
Yeah.
you really wanted to. Why?
Yes, since the very beginning, she told me about the program, and from the very beginning, I wanted to help her fundraise it for it because I believe in the work so strongly, and because I
Hmm.
really thought it would be the most powerful place to bring this work and see how it unfolded. Uh, I like intensity. I like powerful feelings. I
Yeah.
like and I like how this work brings it out and resolves it in a way that where there's um, I always think of this work as engaging conflict in a way that it can evolve instead of devolve, where it can create openness where there was
Mm-mm.
defense.
Mm-mm.
And so the idea that that could happen in a place like Israel and Palestine, it would be like seeing the greatest master piano player play.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Mm.
if that work would happen there, it would be it's the pièce de la résistance of this work being able to unfold whatever it unfolds. So I was always very excited that Anne was bringing it there, and always wanted to be like, how will it work? Will it work? Will you be able to hold this much? And I remember when we were talking about fundraising and she said, and I said, okay, well, I want to help fundraise and I want to whatever, and I want to go. Can I go? And she's like, no way, no way you can go. She's like, they don't want some random North American to be like part of the group. Like this is their group, and they don't. I want them to have to trust each other and grow together. I'm like, I'll
Mm-mm.
just sit on the side and watch, like. But she was very clear that this was a project for people in Israel and Palestine, and so when the opportunity came about, there was no
Yeah.
question for me, except for the fact that it had become a lot more tense and there was a war. And when
Mm-mm.
we were supposed to have a Zoom meeting about whether or not, or just to give information about the program, And the fundraiser, the war between Israel and Iran broke out.
Oh,
The
wow.
fighting. So no one, I don't even know if I didn't show up to the Zoom. I was like, there's no way I'm going now. But
Maybe later.
yeah, but
Just no.
sorry, just 1 minute.
Sure.
Isaiah, you're leaving? Okay, bye, my love.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so there was this moment, I was like, oh, I can't go. And then my kids were really resistant to me going, especially my
Yeah.
daughter. She was like very upset that I was even thinking about it. So I had to get around that. But in my heart, like it was something that I was so excited to be a part of from day one.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit, like, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts about the conflict, like before you came?
Um,
And did they change in any way following the experience?
it's a really good question. So I don't know how much they changed in terms of the nature of the conflict. I think I had a very periphery outside view of it. I think
Hmm.
that's it's like I kind of understood it, um, but I I understood a little bit about it, but I didn't really understand the feeling of it or the understand the depth of it. And so I think what changed was having the depth of the conflict and the real roots of it and the almost the impossibility of it really
Mm.
ground in my body. Um, walking around Tel Aviv and walking around Israel and seeing how um, it was really the home of Israelis. Like Jewish people had come before 1948, after 1948, and had established their roots and their language and their houses and their communities. And there was no way that this wasn't the home of Israelis. And then to move into Palestine and to see the impact of that and
Yeah.
how displaced and really oppressed and limited and in pain that community was because of that.
Hmm.
And also the pain and the trauma and the suffering that had was occurring with the Israeli people and prior to the movement to Israel. And so really understanding how pain sort of moves through and trauma kind of moves from generation to people and uh yeah, so really getting a sense of how impossible it felt. Like this was the home of Israelis. This is the home of Israelis. This is the home of Palestinians. They can't
Yeah.
they can't seem to um open to the other being there in fully. And so what to do about that? Like seeing that, living that, letting that into my body and feeling that.
Mm.
Like I didn't go away being like, this is an easy solution, or why don't they just do this? Or why can't they? I was like, no, this feels impossible.
Mm.
Um,
And is this something that was new for you? I mean, do you feel like this in any way, I don't know, changed any of the thoughts you had before, or maybe your opinions or views in any way? Like when you think about yourself talking with your friends about the conflict, maybe before and after.
mhm. Um,
Maybe no, but yeah.
it's deeper in my body. I have an
Mm-mm-mm.
understanding that what has changed is my ability to hold it in a way that's more expansive.
Mm.
So I don't know if my views have changed. I mean, I know that I am someone who heart goes out to people who are limited or oppressed or
Yeah.
have like their movement limited and their lack of resources. I in Canada started a organization for refugee claimants because their situation in Canada was so difficult for me to bear. And so, like, one of the things I did was start an organization for them. They were so not, oppressed is the wrong word, under resourced, had no connections, had no ability to meet or get jobs, or because they were new, they had no money, they didn't
Yeah.
know anybody, they didn't know the systems. And that for me, just like, it broke my heart to play for
Yeah.
it. Started an organization. And so there's something for me to see people in pain that is that always triggers something for me. So seeing the pain of the Palestinian situation
Yeah.
was like, touched me very deeply. But I think what
Yeah.
shifted was seeing the situation of the Israelis too, and how, like, it filled it out a little bit more so I could hold it. So I might
Mm.
have been less capable to hold the Israeli side of things prior to going, where I feel now I can really hold both sides. I can be neutral. Neutral is the wrong word. I can be open to hearing both.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can be open to knowing that there's truth on both sides, that
Okay.
there's pain on both sides, that
Hmm.
um, there needs to be a movement for both sides.
Mm-mm-mm.
So my direction might have been more closely affiliated with the Palestinian situation, and I can open up. And so now when I'm talking to people, I feel like a sort of groundedness and holding it both. And if
Mm-mm.
people come to me um, on either side hard, I can hold it and open to it, and then and let the other side come out too.
Hmm.
So there's I think a need, and for me now, to not advocate for anyone, but
Hmm.
more to allow the space to see more of the situation for both sides, for whoever comes to me to talk about it.
Yeah.
Knowing that, like, if you bring only one side and you push and you fight and you kill for it, you're
Mm.
participating in the same thing right over again.
Hmm. Yeah.
Instead, if you allow both sides to come up and through and be expressed and understand the how interlocked they are and how challenged they are and the stories behind them and the pain behind them, then you can have movement. And
Right.
it's hard because in Canada, it's really like, they're really polarized. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously in Israel too, but they're really polarized here in a way that it's not. If I'm very much part of I'm not Jewish, but I'm very much part of a Jewish community. I run a Jewish organization, and I like my friends are mostly Jewish. I live in a Hasidic neighborhood.
Oh.
Um, my parents' friends are mostly Jewish. My sisters are mostly married to Jewish guys. There's, for some reason, our family is very connected to the Jewish community, different Jewish communities.
Yes.
Um, I had this experience of my dad's executive assistant for years and years and years. She heard I was Israel and she wanted to hear exactly what I had seen and whatever, because she heard I was in Israel and Palestine. So that she's
Yeah.
like, "What did you do?" And and I just like kind of opened up about my experience, and she immediately tried to convince me of something.
Yeah.
And I didn't say that she was wrong, but what I did say is, like, did you see, as soon as I mentioned, like, the a kind of neutrality that I had, you
Yeah.
immediately got defensive. Like, you
Yeah.
couldn't hear it. You don't want to hear about the pain on the other side, because you'll have to feel it and that might change you, and you don't want to be changed.
Mm.
And I didn't say it exactly like that, but
Yeah.
she really, like, my sort of insistence on neutrality and having people claim whatever's going on for them in that moment instead of pointing to the other side. We had a really deep and beautiful conversation about it, in a way that I don't think she's ever had before, because she's like the president of an organization that tries to get Jewish people into politics. Like, she's really entrenched in a very pro is like Jewish
Yeah.
Israeli environment. So it was a beautiful thing for me to have a real conversation about her, where she could open up a little, not to change her perspective on what should happen, but just like, there's pain on both sides. There's
Yeah.
stories on both sides, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and that was a powerful experience for me, which I don't know if I could have done before. I'm pretty sure I couldn't have.
I really connect to that. Like the fact, like how polarized the, opinions from both sides are, especially around like very much around this conflict and about how it is almost impossible for people to sort of perceive like there's a third option. You know, you don't have to be, it's not like you're either pro-Israeli or you're pro-Palestinian. You can actually be both. You know, it doesn't mean that if you're for one side, you're necessarily against the other. And it's just really, really very strong. I feel these days. Yeah.
Yeah, really what I felt like my only place, like another thing is like how little I know and how little not of a right I have, but like who the hell am I to have any sort of strong opinion about this in that I've like
Mm.
lived none of it. I know so little about it. I can feel the pain what I see, but uh, and so what I feel like a shift in my perspective is like the only thing I can do is to hold people who um, who feel strongly and show them how their defense systems um, disallow them to let in any information that will change them.
Yeah.
As soon as I bring up anything about the pain of the Palestinians, some of my Jewish friends will be like, I can't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting thing to note that when I
Yeah.
bring this up, you can't hear it. And if you can't hear it, then how are you ever going to get a broader perspective of the situation in order to make it better?
Yeah.
And same on the other side. So just like to help people see where they're not willing to open up and know more, where their systems, and it's not even in their mind, it's their body saying, I can't, I can't.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So to
Or
help
I
them.
don't want to. You know, I get a lot of I don't want to.
Yeah.
And also here in Israel, you hear a lot of people saying like after October 7th, I don't want to. Like I don't want to hear about. And sometimes I'm wondering if ever even before October 7th you were willing, right? It's like
Yeah.
was it possible before? Is it just now that it's not possible? It's yeah.
I think that is the biggest thing, yeah, is to really see where people are incapable, don't want to have their defense systems go off even before they know it.
Yeah.
And so to see that and then to just point it out. Nothing has to change, but to see
Mm-mm.
like you know that you can't hear anything, so how will anything shift? If both sides are unwilling to even hear, how will anything shift? And
Yeah.
then just be aware. And I was running listening circles beforehand, doing that to some extent with this Jewish community, where you just had to listen. You sat in the
Mm-mm.
circle, and people would speak of different opinions, and you
Mhm.
could see you were not allowed to jump in. You just had to see how your body reacted. And some people couldn't help themselves. They're like, yeah, but and there's like just you notice what's happening to your body.
Yeah.
Notice you can't stand what they're saying to the point where you have to shut them down. And that's just like if you can just start there and recognizing your own limitations to being open, then yeah, I think that's the first step. But that and Israel deep in that capacity to say, I don't need anyone to be right here. I just want a space where we can hear each other and be changed by each other.
Yeah. You know, I have a question. This is something which sort of interests me personally. Why do you think people outside of Israel, and I'm not talking about, okay, Jews and Palestinians outside of Israel. I'm talking about others. Why do you think people are so emotionally activated
Mhm.
by this specific conflict? You know, people have opinions. People like this is something that really, really interested me, especially, it interested me and it also triggers me, to be honest. Like, why do you care that much about this specific conflict? And I mean, are you that much activated about all the other, things that are going around in the world? Like, why this?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's one of the questions that in my community of Jewish people, the one who
Mm.
are far, I have Jewish people who are very far pro-Palestinian and Jewish
Yeah,
people who are very far pro-Israeli. So
yeah,
being Jewish absolutely does not mean that you're on one side and
right. But it does mean that you may be very emotionally, like it would make sense why you would be emotionally involved in this thing,
Absolutely.
right?
And a lot of
Yeah.
the people who are pro-Palestinian are pro-Palestinian because what like a lot of Jewish people because they're like this is just going to create so much anti-Semitism. Like I want nothing
Mm-mm.
to stop. They're like
Yeah.
I can see the anti-Semitism rising from this
Yeah.
conflict, and
Hmm.
so like they don't they
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
self-serving, and also they don't want to see people suffer, but they also are like this is not good for me.
Hmm.
But I think a lot for the pro-Israeli, or I don't even want to say those words. I don't even know
Yeah.
why, but for the people who are defending Israel, one of the things that they say is, why do people care about this conflict? It's because
Hmm.
people are anti-Semitic. That's why they care. And like, that's what I hear a lot. It's anti-Semitism. And, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Like, it could be a bit of that for sure. I know that when there is like, when there's a people who are being oppressed in their homeland, it triggers me, like in South Africa, so it's different than South Africa because of this, like, what has happened. Like, there's this feeling of like, if we let go, then we're going to be killed. And I understand that. Like, I understand why Israelis feel that. Like, if we open the gates and say, okay, everyone can go everywhere, you can do whatever you want, there's going to be this, like, who knows what will happen. And so I really understand that. But I think um, there's a huge disproportion of power and then an unleashing of this power on the weaker power. And I think whenever that happens, there's going to be an outcry. Like what's happening in Sudan is a civil war. They're all from there. They all been there forever. They're all killing each other. I
Hmm.
think it's a slightly different situation in Israel, and it might be, fueled by anti-Semitism. I don't know, but I know that I'm definitely not an anti-Semitic because I've married Jews and I date Jews and I run a Jewish organization. So
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. They call me Jewish, because I'm so within the Jewish community. And the situation in Israel and Palestine is heartbreaking for me from the Palestinian perspective because
Yeah.
I hate to see people who are disempowered get beaten up.
Yeah.
So it breaks my heart, and I
Yeah.
want to do something. Just like for the refugee organization, I said, "What can I
Hmm.
do?" That's my feeling. What can I do?
Yeah.
And I know that it's more complicated than that because I know that there's this fear from the Israeli population that if we don't do this, we're going to die, and we've been killed
Hmm.
before. So it's not. I understand the complication of it, but I do think that's why people get stirred. If it's not anti-Semitism, or if added and above to anti-Semitism, it's seeing a less powerful oppressed population get the shit kicked out of them.
Hmm.
Well, it's like seeing a bully take a kid out around and getting beaten up, and you're like, oh my God, I got to do something. But being powerless. So I being there and also being surrounded by Jewish people, I know it's more complicated than just that. It is, but that is the perspective from the outside world. And I think in North America, um, there's a lot of very powerful, wealthy Jewish people and who control different industries like in media and like the newspapers. And so there's been an outcry and an outrage that has been shut down, people being fired because they're saying things that are pro-Palestinian, or so I
Hmm.
think that enrages the population even more. Like
Hmm.
you're silencing the voices that are trying to point out an injustice.
Hmm.
That has increased the fury.
Hmm.
University professors being fired, and articles not being published, artists being dropped.
Yeah.
So there's these things that are happening that are silencing the outrage that's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And I think people don't live there and don't understand and don't feel the complexity of it, and so they can get very one-sided.
I want to go back to the workshop itself and like how it impacted you. And I don't know, maybe think about like an inspiring moment or something which was very, like when you sort of think back at the workshop and you tell people about it, something which was especially profound for you on a
Um,
personal level, maybe.
for many, many things, I think, but let me see if I can. Um, I mean, I think the thing about the workshop was like I said before, it's like the most powerful place to do this work. And so I saw this work almost in a relief, like 3D form, in a way that you couldn't see it in other places. So I mean, a couple situations brought that up. One was seeing how the huge pain of the Palestinians and their plight and everything that was going on there gave no space to the Jewish pain or the Israeli pain. And seeing the effect of that, if someone can't feel their pain, they can't process, they can't move forward, they can't open up. If they have to
Mm,
shut down in order not to feel because that pain's more or louder, or then then you can't have a real process and you can't move forward. And I know that kind of by doing this work, but to really see it,
yeah,
of how important it is that both sides are able to express what's going on inside and their deep pain and their fear. So when that happened, I was like, oh my God, you have to make sure that happens and everything. Like people have to be able to move this. And like seeing all the Israeli Jewish people in the center feeling their deep pain and hearing it and understanding it was really big.
yeah,
Another moment was actually with you and Noah. It was another thing of just for me, and you might actually have, it would be interesting to see how you experience this because it could be completely different. But there was a moment that something just clicked in a way, in an embodied way. Like, again, I know it, but to really see it.
mm-mm,
And it was when you said, I just shut down at the word genocide. And Noah said the same thing. Yeah, me too. I just shut down. And and having talked to Noah, she was like, I don't listen to anything. I don't know numbers. I know nothing. I
yeah,
can't. And so to hear you say it, and then to hear her say it and know that she doesn't know because she doesn't want to see it, and then I asked you, okay, like if it was a genocide, like I literally have no idea. I'm the last person who's going to really know. But to say if we could unequivocally say it's a genocide, what would you have to feel? And you said way too much guilt. And for me, it was such an aha moment of when there's a feeling that's too big, too much, it's going to keep our eyes closed because it's too painful to feel. And it's like, it's no one's fault. Like, it's like the thing of like, oh, it's our body saying it's too much. Like, I cannot process that much guilt. And how we have to grow our capacity to feel everything so we can look at everything. And
mm-hmm.
it's not our choice necessarily. And like I experience it all the time. Like I am a reactive person. And if something comes into my system that I can't feel,
Boom.
yeah. And so I have been, for the last 10 years, growing my capacity bigger and bigger and bigger. But still, there's things that get in that are too big. And the more that I can feel and say, oh, that's painful. Oh, my heart's broken. You
Yeah,
know, oh, I was such an asshole. Oh my God, I really have to own what a mean person I was there. And as much as I can feel it, then I can look at it and change it and shift how I am and work with the reality of the situation. So if I was to be honest, that was the most powerful moment of the whole um, workshop, only to see something in such sharp relief that I experience all the time and I know, but it wasn't embodied knowing. And that made it an
mm-hmm.
embodied knowing. So that's actually one of the things I talk about most because for me, it is the thing that I think people can understand. If you can't look at something, if it can't be because it's too much, then you can't see what's there potentially. Because it's not
Yeah.
that it is a genocide or it isn't a genocide, it's that I can't see it as that.
Yeah.
So that was very, very powerful for me. It might have changed my life.
Wow.
And
Big.
yeah, it was because it's in each and every single human being. What is our limit to feel? What is our limit?
Yeah.
What can we feel? Um, and I think it's my goal in life to be broaden my capacity so that I can feel everything. I won't get there, but like that's the goal. You know, if I can feel everything, I can hold everything. I
Yeah.
can accept everybody.
Yeah.
um,
I resonate with that completely. I have this like vision of this, like this Buddha kind of, this Mother Earth kind of being, right? That can sit there and take everything in and hold it and be touched by it and be moved by it and even break by it, but not break in a way that sort of stops your existence, but maybe even fuels it. That's
that's
like the,
beautiful, beautiful image. A friend of mine is going through a heartbreak. And he's
mm,
like, oh, when the heart is open, it just breaks. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. It's made to break so it can just reform and grow and get bigger and bigger. And it's like if it holds together so it doesn't break, it's just going to be this tight little thing. But like every time your heart breaks, it gets bigger. And like
yeah,
I think what happened in Israel is my heart broke like 7 times. It was heartbreaking and
it's a
beautiful
heartbreaking experience.
and
Sure.
inspiring,
Mm.
all of it, but definitely heartbreaking.
Did it fuel any kind of, I don't know, do you feel like you want to do something with it or?
Yeah, I want to go back to Israel, but Anne won't let me. I was like, "Man, next time too." But no, it has really inspired me to keep doing this work. And I'm not like I'm right now, I'm working on a program. I don't know if it's going to get off the ground. I'm working on another program. I'm going to start I want people, I want to create spaces where people's heart can deeply break, feel all,
Hmm.
I really think, and I really think if we did this, we just let our heart break over and over again and it's what's going on in the world is heartbreaking, not just
Yeah,
so, that when Yotam had his big process, it was his heart being just decimated by the state of the environment.
yeah,
Then once it breaks and falls apart, then he can like be there for it because he's not
yeah.
trying to hold it together and not hurt. It's like, no, it's fucking painful. It's painful. And now I can feel the pain so I can be present for it instead of trying to make it not what it is. I can't see the environment as it being, you know, over. And if you accept it, like this is what it is, and now I can be as present as I can for it,
Mm.
despite the heartbreak of it.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. So I just want to do this work and wherever I can.
Yeah. You know, um, in many ways, I mean, we've been doing, obviously, our group has been the Israelis and the Palestinians. We've been together from, I think, almost 3 years. Um, but all of us felt like we never managed to reach the depth of heartbreak, as we managed to this time when you guys were here. Um, and I just wanted to let you know it almost felt like the pain was just too much for us to hold it for each other. And then your presence sort of it created a container, that okay, I don't have to hold this alone. There's somebody else who can hold this pain, and then they could let their pain come out strong as can be, and we could let our pain come out as strong as it is. And that was really, really meaningful, very meaningful. I mean, for me, that was life changing because we've been doing this work for so long and we've been doing, a lot of profound things have been happening, right? But something about like the presence of the North Americans, I think it was just like the almost like the piece of the puzzle that was missing. And there's something very beautiful, it's like almost poetic, the fact that we need everyone in order to deal with this. It's not just between the two of us, between us and the Palestinians. Everyone needs to be there. It's everyone's thing. Um,
That's so beautiful. That's really beautiful. I hadn't seen it in that way. And it kind of sheds a light on what's going around the world where these different sides are being taken up by different factions and around the world hurling their own sides and
yeah,
energy
yeah,
instead of like I think what we were able to do there was hold it, was not
exactly. Like,
work.
can you imagine if the world, instead of taking sides, just held both sides? Wow, what that would have done. You
Yeah.
know, I think maybe that's a bit of what I meant. Like before we did the work, right? We had the tour and I said to you guys in Tel Aviv, I told you that I feel like in some ways, the way that the international community is dealing with this conflict is something there is missing. Like it's misunderstanding what is like the pain that is, there's something that's there. It's just, they're just not doing it right. In
Absolutely.
some way, the international community is just making it worse. Like that's how I felt it. And then when you guys, and that was a bit of the fear, some of the fear that some of the people had around, the North Americans coming to the group, because that's the way that we're used to perceive, you know, the outside people. It doesn't help. It just makes it worse.
Yeah.
And you guys, when you came in, you came with such a different energy and in the sense of and it just and it made it go the other way, like it was the complete opposite
Yeah. And
effect
it's
on us.
I think you're right. And I think maybe that's what has changed since I've come back is to see how everybody in North, not everybody, but a lot of people in North America are holding it is making it worse. And it's
Mhm.
actually really on both sides. Like um, the Jewish Israeli side is really trying to silence a lot of stuff, which is making
Yeah,
this side angry. And this side
right.
is just like, rabid.
Delegitimizing, like
Yeah,
everyone's delegitimizing the pain of the other because yeah,
exactly. And like if you then from the Palestinian side, people are like, if you don't speak up, you're condoning genocide, and this side is like, if you speak up, you're going to lose your job. And so
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah,
like this fear on both sides of like you have to be a certain way, and you have to that's making it bigger and bigger and bigger, and
yeah,
more resentment on both sides.
yeah.
So
Because it also, like for me personally, it makes my fear grow.
mhm,
It makes my fear grow because and for I think the Israeli side is very much fueled by fear. And then when we feel, I won't say we, but when like it has that effect of okay, so if you're against me, that sort of fuels the perspective that I have or the belief that I have or the narrative that I can only trust myself. I have to be really strong because I'm alone in this planet and nobody's really going to be on my da da da. And then it makes me become more aggressive,
yes,
and so forth and so forth.
that's what's happening to both sides.
Yeah.
It's an increase of aggressiveness
Yeah.
um, and it in equal in strength. Because I think there's this idea that the world is pro-Palestinian, and it's not, especially not in Canada. It's both. There's really strong factions in both, and they're making the other grow bigger and bigger. Instead of like, if what we could do is hold it and be like, there is pain here on both sides,
Yeah.
deep, deep pain and fear. Deep pain and fear. Like every time I talk to a close Jewish friend and we talk about this, it always ends up in the fear of being killed.
Yeah.
And like that's like a fear that you are going to do everything you possibly can to defend yourself and your children
Hmm.
if that is
Yeah.
the people that you're living with. And
Like
same,
Hani said, right? There was this moment where Hani said, I don't want to be politically correct. If there's a war, I want to win it. If I need to choose, I choose me.
yeah,
And that's the feeling. Like if I
absolutely.
don't, yeah,
I think, and I think that's like obviously not getting any. airtime. It's like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
fear. There's fear on both sides that needs to come out and be expressed if we're going to work on it. So, yeah, so powerful. Really, like, I'm sad it's over.
For some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like, it really was like, I tell people it's like the most powerful thing I've done in my life.
That you recommend.
God, yeah, yeah.
It's not for the weak-hearted though.
You know, you have to be allowed, you have to let your heart break, else you'll just. And I think that was at the very end when I had that big process. And, I really felt like I don't want to have like, I don't have a right to have a process here. Not that I don't have a right, but it's just like my pain is nothing, the same thing, like my pain doesn't count here. And then, to hear Sanjay, he said this one thing that undermines
Yeah,
pain.
yeah,
And it was almost like a nick that just let all the pain come out. Because that's
yeah,
like it let my heart break. My heart was breaking. It was
yeah,
so painful. And like holding this pain throughout like 10 days. And
yeah.
so just all it needed was like a nick. And then it went
It was magnificent.
so painful.
Yeah.
And that's how my pain comes out is bah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so in one way I feel like lucky I got to have it. In another way, it wasn't Sanjay's pain to hold. Like, it was just mine, but it was so big.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was beautiful. And obviously it perpetuated, it enabled then, I think it's Melissa, right?
Mhm.
Not Melissa. Sorry, Sanjay's partner.
Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa. Melissa to, that enabled Melissa to sort of let her heart break, right? And that's the beauty of this work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
that, like, I always think of this of like, it's so powerful, this work. It moves so much. And there's 10 of us doing it, 20 of us or 30 of us. And it makes a difference. But this poor,
Mhm.
broken, painful world.
Yeah. Mm. Is there
Uh,
anything else that you feel is like meaningful that you want to?
yeah, I loved how, I loved how we got a tour. I loved the tour was really, it was just so beautifully planned in terms of like getting to see things we might not have seen or experiencing things that we didn't experience and having a tour of Tel Aviv, like with you, like seeing things that like they're not going to be on you know, the tour of a tourist.
Yeah.
And that was really like that's one of the things I talk about all the time. Is just being able to see both Israel and Palestine in a way that wasn't traditional. And
Hmm.
then being with you guys. That was very well done. I would suggest that that stays if it happens again that stays.
I hope it does. I really hope it does.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all very powerful. Like I told our group, like I've never felt so impacted in such a short period of time
Mm.
with a group. It just was like, you know,
Hmm.
my heart was very open very quickly and very broken and very moved and
Yeah. I think we didn't expect that either. I mean, there, I was really looking forward for it. I mean, I was really looking forward for it. I felt like I had before you guys came, long time, but like around like the first year after October 7th, I had a lot of anger with everyone who was not Israeli or Palestinian who had an opinion about this. I was like really, really pissed about it, very triggered with it. Um, and Anne reminded me of that when you guys came. She reminded me that I had all that, and I sort of forgot about it the minute that I saw all of you. Um, and I think even even we were surprised by um how close and it felt so very quickly, as if it just had to be this way. Like, how didn't we think about it before? Maybe it wouldn't have been the same, obviously, if it was before. It felt like it was, it was um, we felt so very close to you guys. It was so sad for us when you left. It's like you left, your bus left, and we were like, what? Okay, so like, what do we do now? What do
Yeah.
we do now?
Exactly how we
Mhm.
felt. There was like a letdown. Like, what? Like, it was this energy that was so powerful. What's,
Yeah.
and then we're all back
What now?
in the hotel, on the airplane, and, you know, immediately, like, when do we go back? I've never been so changed by something.
Mm-mm.
And it's like to the power of the energy in the room and the depth of which people are willing to go and feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I miss it. I really do. I think about it all the
Yeah.
time, and I talk about it all the time. Deeply, deeply moved. I
Yeah.
think if I was to say one thing, I am so deeply, deeply moved by your group and
Mm.
what you're willing to do. That's what I think that's the biggest thing that I came home with was I say, can you imagine Israelis and Palestinians in the same room feeling their deepest pain
And staying alive, like,
and staying for the
and then
most,
come eating together and have dinner. Yeah.
yeah. Like, and everyone's like, no, I can't.
Yeah, I have a dream of doing this over and over again. Seriously, like I imagine people from,
Hmm.
Europe, North America, whatever, coming, doing this tour, and then doing like this emotional work together with Israelis and Palestinians.
I feel like the one thing is like Anne really chose people who have done the work before and have a certain
Yeah,
depth of their abilities.
yeah,
And I feel like that's necessary.
I feel so too.
Most people will just be clear. Their capacity is too small to feel.
Yeah.
But I'll do it with you. If you ever want to come to North America, I'll set up a workshop. You can
Of course I
co-host.
want to come to North America.
Come to North America. I was telling Anne that I want to start a second sort of like I have started. I'll send it to you, but I'm putting the word out about a it's not even a program, it's more like peer led, it's co-created for people who have done a program so that we can come together and go deeper in a way, and it's obviously Israelis and Palestinians, it's pretty far to do a program, but I told Anne, if anybody wants to do it, they can come for free. She's like, don't skip my participants. She's what's it called? She's territorial. Anyway, just so you know, if you ever get here, I will create something to do together because I would love to. I think the depth at which you guys have gone is going. You guys are going to be incredible facilitators wherever you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Noelle. Thank you. I mean, you know, I'm not just, it's not just, I think it's so brave, of you to come and to be willing to put yourself in a situation that you put yourself. It's, it's just, thank you for that. For us, it was like what was missing for us to be able to really, really, I think, even now when we're having this conversation, I feel like I have like this aha moment, in a way that, yeah, I think that the work between Israelis and Palestinians is just incomplete without additional people who are not Israelis and Palestinians doing the work together with them. It's like the missing bit of the puzzle that needs to be there in order for the process to be complete. Like that's,
Well, it was the most inspiring thing I've ever done,
mm,
maybe by a
amazing.
long shot. So thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
to us and letting us in. And I would love to continue in any way possible. I don't know what the actual reality of possibilities are, but
Yeah.
there's a longing there to be able to do something like that again. So who knows what will happen? We'll see.
Who knows?
Okay, well, keep in touch with me.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. And there's the group, the shared group.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. It
I
was
love
good to see you.
It's so nice to see you, and I'd love maybe I can see this interview, maybe not, maybe it's too heavy to send,
Sure.
but
No,
I'd
no,
love
I'll
to
send you the link. I think that it probably has something because it's in the cloud. I saved it on the cloud, so I'll just
need to
share
learn
the
how to
link with you.
do that.
Ran just showed me how to do it. It's like when you in Zoom,
Yeah.
when you record, you have two options, either to record it on the computer or on the cloud, apparently.
Okay,
Anyway,
well, let's do this again sometime.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Bye,
Nice.
Noel.
Goodbye.
Bye.